Hey, thanks for watching today's video. I have a get ready with me today, and I had my Instagram followers vote on my stories whether or not they wanted to see me do a full face of products from my panning projects or to show you what I packed for a recent road trip that I took. And the majority voted for my little travel makeup bag, so I will be sharing the makeup that I wore on my 4-day trip that I took, and I will be talking about my road trip as well. And I also asked for some ideas on what to talk about for my next Get Ready With Me, and Kami wrote a very long comment. I really appreciate Kami's ideas. She's a longtime subscriber and she is very faithful in commenting, and I just love seeing Kami in my comments. So she asked for me to share how the summer goes in my area. If you're not familiar with my channel, I live in the Pacific Northwest in the United States. So I will talk about how our summers go. She said, do you have a lot of heat waves? If so, was it like that when you were a child? And she said, if I'm not mistaken, nature is pretty impressive in your state. So do you like to paint landscapes? Because I'm an artist. If you're not familiar with my channel, I do share that often in my projects. If it relates to anything, I love art. And then Kami asked if I can easily go to the sea and or hiking, and do I like either of those or both. So I love those questions. Thank you, Kami. I will try to tie those in to my talk about my trip. And yeah, if you're not familiar with my channel, I mostly do panning content on here, so I'm actively working through the items that I already own. I'm on my second no-buy year in a row, and I did bring some items from panning projects on my trip, so you will see those as well. I like to do get ready with me's every once in a while so you can see how I'm using my items, and I do random palette bingos every now and then. I think the video before this one was a bingo of shame, which was a group collab with my friends Andy and DW, so go ahead and check that out if you have not. If all of that sounds good to you and you're not subscribed, I hope you do so before you leave, and of course give this video a thumbs up. Because I wasn't going on an airplane, I felt like I could pack, some options, but I didn't really want to. I'm going camping. We did stay in a cabin, but I wasn't planning on wearing a ton of makeup. I was just wanting to give myself the option if I did want to wear makeup. So I just grabbed this little bag and I put some items in here, and I will go through each of them as I get to that step. And then I also had a separate bag for like my tools, my brushes, and I did bring a sponge. This is a new sponge, but I wanted to put it in here for effect. And then I also brought like my skincare and stuff, but I will go through that after I apply my sunscreen, just so I have time to let it sink in. But I also brought a palette with some singles in it. And if I were going on an airplane, I probably would not have brought like this extra palette just to save time. Or space, not time, to save space. But let me grab my SPF out of this bag. I wanted to show that in this video just so you can see like in real time how I got ready. So this is in my Rolling Project 10 pan, and I just it's a stick, obviously, and I try to go over like every square inch of my face. Yeah, I just kind of swipe it on. I probably should be a little more careful about where I put this, but that's basically what I do. And then I just kind of let it sink in. So as that sinks in, I'll show you the very minimal skincare products that I brought. Again, if I was on an airplane, I would have brought like a little travel container of this, but I did have some room, so I brought my full bottle of like the full size bottle. I only have this much, but of my current micellar water. You can get this at like Marshall's and TJ Maxx. My friend Kay got me hooked on this. It was only like $4.99 for this big bottle, and they sell a bigger one too for a little more money, but this is what I have. So I use that to get my makeup off, I'm camping, so I didn't really have great access to a sink or anything, so I did not bring an actual cleanser, which I know you should always double cleanse, but I wasn't too worried about it. Okay. And then I did bring my toner. This is my favorite toner ever. I repurchase it all the time. It's my Peach Slices Acne Exfoliating Toner. It has salicylic acid in it as the main ingredient, and my skin really likes this, so I apply this in the morning and at night. I mostly apply it at night, but sometimes I do both, and my skin doesn't mind it. And then I brought my morning moisturizer, and I just use this morning and night. I do have like a heavier moisturizer for night at home, but I didn't want to bring both. This is the CeraVe Ultra Light Moisturizing Gel. And this has been great under makeup. I do have normal combo skin. I get oily throughout the day in my T-zone. So that's just been a really great lightweight moisturizer. And I feel like my sunscreen has to set in like well enough. If I were at home doing my own like normal makeup routine, I would have applied like my cream products as that was sinking in. I know it's not that great, but I just skipped that when I'm going camping. So I'm going to grab my foundation that I took, and this is not currently in a project, but I felt like it would be a great lightweight option that I didn't have to mix, because most of the foundations I'm panning I have to mix together, and I just wanted to bring one with me. So this is the Misha BB Cream in the shade 21. This is definitely a summer shade for me. It's almost too dark in the summer, but it works. And then I applied that with a damp sponge that I just dropped on the floor. BRB. Okay, thankfully I just vacuumed, so I don't see anything gross on here. I'm sure somebody would say they wouldn't use this, but I'm going to use it. I don't care. I know, gross. So I just pump this, like, I try to do maybe like one pump on each cheek, and then I'll do like a half a pump on my forehead and chin. And the only mirror that I brought with me is in my contour palette, so I'm going to use this teeny tiny mirror to blend this out on my face. So Kami mentioned where I live has beautiful like scenery, and I always say that I live in the Pacific Northwest, but specifically I live in Washington, and we have gorgeous landscape. Everyone complains about how much rain we get here, but like it's worth it because in the spring and summer there's just so much green and beautiful flowers and just gorgeous views. We have the mountain. Well, we have quite a few mountains here, and just a lot of forest area. But we also have beaches, and we have a coast on the Pacific Ocean. So where I live specifically, I always say like I can drive to any type of landscape within an hour, basically. So growing up, we did a lot of trips to the beach, but also anywhere that we camped, we tried to have trees. Like some campgrounds, have less trees, some have more trees, but evergreen trees are abundant here. It is the evergreen state after all. And I'll try to put some pictures up if I can. But yeah, my family loved just being surrounded by trees wherever we went camping. But we also always went to places by the water. So that was one of our favorite places to go. We love going down to Seaside, Oregon as well. Seaside and Cannon Beach. We actually went there a couple weekends ago. And that was gorgeous. I'll have some pictures. So most of the Pacific Northwest beaches are a lot more like rocky. They have a lot of more rocks. and they're not as like smooth sand, but in Oregon they're a little more sand. In Washington there's definitely a lot more rocks on the beach, which is fine. I don't mind it, but some people that have never been to a Pacific Northwest beach are like surprised by that. So where I went this last weekend was we drove to Idaho to visit some family, and that was 6 hours for us. And you have to drive through like a lot of different terrain, which is very interesting in Washington. You have all these evergreen trees, very green part of the state with mountains, and then we have like the beaches and everything. And then you drive through eastern Washington, which is like desert. And they have a lot more extreme weather over there. It gets a lot hotter in the winter, or hotter in the summer, and a lot colder in the winter. I feel like half the state is more mild, and then the other half is more like extreme. So my concealer that I just opened it, but I just put the cap back on. So the concealer that I brought with me is my Maybelline Eraser Multi-Use Concealer. I do have this, I just rolled this into my rolling project pan, so glad to get use out of this. I don't mind the sponge applicator. I know some people hate it. I don't mind it. So I'm just going to put this under my eyes, do the 2016 concealer, which I still prefer. What else did Kami say, just so I don't skip anything? So I guess that kind of speaks to the heat waves. Where I live, we don't get like a ton of heat waves. We might get one throughout the summer. Usually the weather is in like the high 70s, mid 80s, which is the 80, like mid 80s is kind of high for us. It usually stays within like mid 70s to low 80s, and then we'll have maybe a week or two that goes into the 90s. I remember last summer we did get one day that was like 100 or maybe like 99 or something like that, but it is not super common to get that hot where, like specifically where I live. But if you were to live more east, like near Idaho, you would get into the hundreds like multiple days. So it is very interesting that our state, you can kind of have all climates in one state, which is crazy. And to speak to like if it was like that when I was a child, this kind of gets like deep emotional, but I don't remember a lot from my childhood. Let me take my powder out so I can powder this. And now I'm gonna move into my brush bag. So I did bring this massive powder brush. I usually have a brush for my under eyes and my face, but I just have this one for my whole face and under eyes. And I'm using my Wet n Wild translucent. So yeah, I don't have a ton of memories from my childhood, which is very sad. DW always jokes with me like, what happened to you? What? Something must have happened, but I had a lovely childhood that I know of. I just don't have a ton of specific memories. So I don't know. I'm sure it was the same when I was a child. I could ask my mom. But yeah, I have a beautiful relationship with all of my family. I don't know what happened to me to not remember. But yeah, I don't know. My best memories, like what I can actually remember, start in like high school. Yeah. I don't know. Any psychologists out there want to tell me something that I don't know about myself? Let me see. Kami asked if I like to paint landscapes, and yes, I love to paint landscapes. I think it's one of the easiest, not quite easiest, but I feel like nature, you know, nothing in nature has to be perfect. it's just all like organic shapes and, you know, rarely has any harsh lines. So that is the most enjoyable for me to paint. If I have any examples, I'll put them on the screen. I especially love painting like florals and honestly landscapes. Like grass is very hard for me. I don't know what it is about grass, but I just cannot get it right. Um, but yeah, I do really enjoy painting landscapes. I'll throw up a picture of like this woody, it's like woods. I didn't start this painting, but I have added to it. I found it at an estate sale and I've added some trees to it and things like that, but I really enjoy this. This is in my dining room, hanging on a wall. And then I guess that answers all of Kami's questions. That was very easy. Thank you, Kami. Let me move on to, I like to do my contour and highlight before my blush. So let me grab, I did bring both my contour brush and my highlight brush. They're both from e.l.f. And let me do my contour first. I just brought this little Hollywood Flawless, what is this called? Film Star. It's the Film Star Bronze and Glow Mini Duo from Charlotte Tilbury. And I have both of these shades in a project. So let me take the contour. And I'm just doing really lightly. I'm not trying to look snatched while camping, but I did want to add some definition. So yeah, we drove 6 hours to Idaho. We left on a Thursday morning. My husband was able to get work. Well, we were both able to get work off. I keep forgetting that I work too. We took Thursday and Friday off, and sorry, I saw a text message on my phone sitting on my table, and I was trying to read it. So we left early so we could have an extra day. Let me take the highlighter. And I've been doing my highlighter before my blush lately. That's just been working for me. And then my blush I brought is my Natasha Denona My Mini Dream Glow Blush. Just a perfect little neutral blush, and I have a different brush for blush. It's like an Eco Tools brush. And how I use this is I just kind of dab into the blush a few times and then once in the highlighter side. So the drive over there was great. Like my toddler, who is turning 2 at the end of this month, did amazing. Honestly, I was a little worried. We did, you know, stop at some rest stops for diaper changes and to like walk around and stuff. But he did really well. I'm so proud of him. And camping in a cabin was a different story. So it was a 1-room cabin, and we basically all had to be ready for bed by 8:30, which is when my toddler goes to bed. And my stepson also came with us. He is 16. That was quite hard for him, but he did great. Like, I am so proud of my stepson. He did not complain. He had a great attitude most of the time. He is just growing up so fast. He loves his little brother. His little brother loves him so much. He is obsessed. But yeah, he made a lot of sacrifices, and I'm shocked that I'm not crying right now. Well, here I go. I'm starting to cry. He made a lot of sacrifices for his baby brother that weekend. And it just means a lot. My face is done. So I did bring 2 eyeshadow palettes. I'm just going to take a break from talking so my tears go away. Well, I'm going to take a break from talking about that. So I did bring two eyeshadow palettes. One eyeshadow palette was from my Millefee Roses. I have my lid setting shade in this palette. I did not want to take a break from using this so Tina could hit another pan. If you're not aware, with my Pan Those Eyeshadows project, I am doing like this little side challenge with my makeup bestie to see who can hit the most pans in a lid setting shade. So I knew I had to bring this palette for the lid setting shade, but you know, I could also use the rest of these. But I did want a little more variety. I didn't want to just bring that one palette, and I wanted to bring something that was in a project. So my little singles palette has eyeshadows from my singles rotation, but also my throwback 30 eyeshadows. So I thought this was a great option to bring. I wish I could have just put like my lid setting shade in here and just bring one, but I figured out that I could also use these shades here for my eyebrows, so I didn't have to bring my actual eyebrow shade with me, but it did, you know, give me a little less use on that shade, but it's fine. I think I'm close to hitting pan on that anyway. So let me show you actually the eyeshadow brushes that I brought. I just brought 4. Well, actually, I only brought 3 because one of them is my eyebrow brush. Just this angled brush, and I'm going to do my eyebrows before I do my eyes, but I just brought these 3 brushes here. My lid setting and crease brush, a brush to kind of like deepen out the look, it's kind of flat and fluffy, and then like a inner corner brush. So let me do my brows. I have just been mixing these two. I feel like this is a little too warm. This is cooler, but it's a little dark. So I mixed those, and it was working fine just for a camping look, you know. But back to camping now that my tears are gone. That weekend really tested me, and I think it's just because we have a toddler, and he was just in a different environment than he's used to, but it was also very hot. And it was in the high 80s when we were there. And we were outside most of the time, partly because he wanted to be outside. He was obsessed with playing with the rocks at the campground. But also, you know, we were in a new state. We wanted to explore. We have been to Idaho before, but this was like a little new area that we were in. And if you're wondering why we're staying in a campground and not in a hotel, my in-laws are managers at this campground, so that's why we're staying there instead of a hotel. Next time we will stay in a hotel, unless my toddler does a better time. I don't know. It was kind of difficult. But yeah, he actually ended up getting like a fever from being so hot. I don't know what it was, but he was miserable. Like the third day, overnight, he just kept waking up in the middle of the nights. Of course, we were all in one cabin, so he would wake the other guys up. I was up all night anyway, just with anxiety and worrying about him, and it was just hot, and I do not recommend. It was honestly miserable. And I'm so, why am I crying again? I'm so thankful that we had a roof over our head, beds to lay in, even if they were not comfortable. You know, our in-laws put a little mini fridge in there with waters. Like, it was very nice, very luxurious for camping. It was very uncomfortable still. And with a toddler who doesn't know what's going on, just makes things worse. So, yeah, the second night we were there at like 3 a.m., I decided to get my toddler out of his little pack and play and put him in bed with me. We've never co-slept ever. That's just hasn't been something that I felt the need for. Like, I love moms that do it, but I just never did. And he finally went to sleep when he was next to me. And it was very nice. I finally got a little sleep then too. So there is something to co-sleeping when you just need to be close. I gotta stop talking about this too. Let's do eyeshadow, even though I'm about to cry. So one of the days I did a look with all 4 of these shadows here, and then another, oh, I also used some of these like mid-tone mattes for like my crease. And then I always put this in my inner corner. This is Valentine Baby from Pretty Stir Your Face. And then the second day I did use like these shimmers down here, but I also put like this bluey tone silver. So I think I'm just gonna do the look that I did the first day. So in this palette here, should I zoom you in? I will zoom you in. Well, because I want to be talking too. I'll zoom you in a little bit. Okay, not as much as I usually do for like my Panlos eyeshadows or palette bingos, but you're a little closer. You can see what I'm doing a little bit. So I'm gonna take this shade here and run it as like my transition and crease shade. Oh, first I have to do my lid. Duh. Let's see if I can hit pan. I'm bound and determined to catch like a live pan. Okay, not today. Well, not this eye. You can tell the shade is a little slightly dark for me. I feel like most lid setting shades are. No pan. Okay, let's talk about some good stuff that happened on my trip. So we went to a really fun breakfast spot on the Friday. Yes, a Friday morning. I'm going to take this crease shade here. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And I don't really talk about it on this channel, but I am trying to lose some weight, some of my pregnancy weight. So I'm trying to eat a little healthier. But obviously, like when you're on vacation, I do not advocate like stressing about what you're eating. You know, give yourself a little grace. You're, you know, enjoying yourself. You're out of your routine. You're bound to, you know, get off track, however you want to say it. But we did go to this really cool breakfast spot that actually like Guy Fieri went to from Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And so, you know, you gotta order something good. And I actually got this really good omelet. It was so yummy, and their breakfast potatoes were delicious. So that was really good. And my toddler does amazing in restaurants. Like if he has food in front of him, he's good. So that was great. What else did we do? We went swimming, and actually my husband has not sent me the photos of us swimming. But again, my toddler loves that. He loves being in the water. So I think I'm done with that palette actually, and I'm gonna go in with this like mauve-y mid-tone color, and I'm gonna switch brushes. I'm gonna do this like flat, fluffy shader. This is Sydney Grace Countess from my single eyeshadow rotation, and I'm just gonna use this to deepen my outer third and crease area. And just kind of blend that into the transition shade. This is, I mean, this is a lot of makeup for camping. I realize that. But like I said, we were going out on the town, doing stuff. I was hanging out with my in-laws, so I did want to look a little more put together than rolling out of bed and not sleeping. I feel like these look very warm. I wonder if there was something on this brush that I didn't know about. I'm just gonna blend those together. And then I'm gonna go in with these two shimmers here. I'm gonna put this one in the middle of my lid and this one in the the inner part of my lid. These are also from Sydney Grace. So the gold is Butter Cake and the lighter shade is Troops. So Butter Cake is just gonna go on the center of my lid, and then Troops is gonna go in the inner half. So yeah, on Saturday, Saturday was our second full day. Oh no. We went to Texas Roadhouse for lunch, and we don't have that in our area. So we were very excited. Well, most of my stepson was super excited because he's never been there. So we went there for lunch, and that was really yummy. But at that point, we could tell that my toddler was just not feeling himself at all. I'm just going to take whatever's left on this brush and put it on my lower lash line. Yeah, he just was feeling very off. And he was very grumpy, not enjoyable to be around. I'm going to take Valentine Baby in my inner corner. And I just was like monitoring him, trying to get him to drink a lot of liquid. And yeah, that night was miserable, even more miserable. Of course, the next day, Sunday, we had to leave and make another 6-hour trip home with a sick toddler. And it ended up being like 8 hours because of construction. And so that was hard. Yeah, I definitely want to do a hotel next time. I just think that would be a lot easier. My family grew up camping, but we were always in an RV. I did not grow up tent camping or cabin camping or anything like that. So it's very privileged to be able to stay in RVs and things like that. It was a foreign world to me to be in that cabin with no bathroom. You know, we did have a light. We had some outlets, which is very, thank you. Oh, I forgot. So I did bring an eyeliner just in case I wanted to. And I always like adding an eyeliner if I don't get good sleep because I feel like it just hides my tiredness a little bit because my eyelids usually swell up when I'm tired. So I brought my L'Oreal Infallible, it's my gray eyeliner. So I did add like a small little line to define my lashes and do like a little flick. I don't know if I mentioned this in my intro, but this shirt I actually wore on one of the days. I thought that would be fun to wear in this video. So just a quick liner. And then my current, oh, I did bring my Kosas like little gel, brow gel thing. I wear this every day. I just never show it in my Instagram flat lays. Just, I don't know why. I never show my eyebrow product or my lid setting shade in there either. But I just quickly run that through. And then my mascara is my Tower 28, and I'm realizing that my lip products are still in my purse. So I will have to get off and get those. But yeah, all in all, it was amazing to see my in-laws and spend time with them because we haven't seen them in a year. we've FaceTimed them a few times, but like my toddler obviously has changed so much since the last time they saw him. I don't even think he was walking the last time they saw him, and now he's like saying a million words and walking and doing his own thing, being independent. So it was really fun that they were able to see their little grandson. And of course, like my stepson probably grew a foot since they last saw him. My stepson is 6'2". He's very tall. But he was my little buddy. So, okay, let me grab my lip product and then I will continue my story. Okay, so the lip products that I brought were my NYX lip liner in the shade Bloom, and then my Revlon Super Lustrous Lip in the shade Rose and Shine. These are both in projects. This lipstick is pretty neutral, and this lip liner is very pink, so I felt like they would kind of balance each other out. But what was I saying? Oh, my stepson, so okay, let me start over. I get very car sick. Anytime I'm in the car for an extended period of time, even like around town, I couldn't sit in the back with my baby. Like when he was fussy or something, my husband would always sit in the back because I would just get car sick if I had to take my eyes off of the road. So oftentimes I drive and my husband will take care of other things, especially on road trips. My husband will sit in the back and I drive. I love driving. I prefer that. And my husband drives a lot for work, so he actually doesn't mind having the brake. But I sit in the front, I drive, and then my stepson sits in the front passenger seat because he's very tall and he doesn't really fit in the back anyway. But if my son needs anything, it's just easier to have my husband back there. Just gonna fill in my lips and then top it with this. It's very like sheer, but I feel like it adds some really nice shine, and it's just easy to reapply throughout the day. So honestly, I didn't really apply it throughout the day. I had my lip balm with me too, and if we were just hanging around the campground, I don't need all this. But yeah, my stepson was in the front seat with me and he's just entertaining me the whole time. He loves that he can make me laugh very easily. I laugh at a lot of things, but he tries really hard to make me laugh and I love it. It's like one of his love languages. And it was just fun. Like we had a really good time in the front seat, even through the hard, difficult times when it was like stop and go in the mountains and took 2 extra hours to get over the pass, which means like through the mountain range because we have to go through like windy roads and stuff to get to Eastern Washington. But yeah, it was a good trip. It was just hard. It was testing, but it was very good overall. I think we had some good family bonding time. But let me zoom you guys out so you can see like the full picture. But this is the look completed. And like I said, I wore this shirt. So this is basically what I look like. I did forget all of my jewelry on the trip, which I am trying to wear more of my jewelry on an everyday basis. So that was annoying. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about my trip and my little environment here in the Pacific Northwest. Hopefully I was able to put some pictures up to show you how beautiful this state is. I feel very lucky to be in such a beautiful place, very blessed. And yeah, this was just a quick, little, easy, everyday look. So if you enjoyed, give this video a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe if you're not already. I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.